Hi, I'm ThatPaulGuy, and it's Thursday. It's Thursday, September 5th, 2019. Before we do anything else, get a couple of birthdays out of the way. Happy birthday, Julian, who had a birthday just a couple of days ago. Jeff is having a birthday today, so happy birthday, DJ Fro. And Gus is actually having a birthday in probably about a week and a half. Damn, we're getting old, guys. I don't know what's going on, but we're getting old. So let's start things off. We're going to start off with space. No rockets this week. Sorry, folks. I try to put rockets in every week, and sometimes there's just anything going on with rockets. There is something going on with atomic clocks, though. There is now an atomic clock in orbit around the Earth. And you're thinking, but it's not rockets. Why do I care about an atomic clock? Okay, so this one went up in June, and it got activated on the 23rd. And the big thing about having an atomic clock out in space is, or having an atomic clock in orbit around the Earth, is this one happens to be smaller. It's a mercury ion clock, and it can be made small enough that it can fit on a spacecraft. Why do you care if it fits on a spacecraft? Well, for deep space missions and missions out into the end of the solar system and stuff like that, if something already has a clock that's synchronized with a clock here on Earth, communications and receiving and giving orders and stuff like that can be a lot easier because they don't have to sync up to the Earth first and get that time difference and figure out. They can do things on a set schedule at an exact time period without having to check back in. And so it makes communications and stuff like that a lot easier. Certain things can be handled at an exact time. We don't have to check in. Or if there's communication that has to be done, they can start the transmission. We can then know when to listen or vice versa, and it makes things a lot easier. So having an atomic clock that's small enough to fit on a spacecraft is probably going to be the way to go eventually, because I can see if man ever decides to get out in the solar system, they're going to need some kind of timekeeping. Even though the concept of time is arbitrary, or not, time is not arbitrary, but the way we keep time is. So, you know, that's what happens. Soon enough, we'll be on Mars, which would be kind of weird because their day is almost the same, but their year is totally different. So we're going to have to find some way of standardizing time anyway. Anyway, off the subject. But anyway, so now there's an atomic clock out in orbit, and soon you'll be able to put atomic clocks on outgoing spacecraft. Is Pluto still a planet? Well, according to the international community, the astronomical community back in 2006, I believe it was, said that no, Pluto's not a planet, even though it does have its own moon. Pluto's not a planet. It's too small. It's too far out. The orbit's weird and all that stuff. But if you're people like me that grew up with Pluto being a planet, or the chief of NASA, Jim Bridenstine, you say that, yeah, Pluto's a planet. Always has been, always will be. His answer is that he grew up with Pluto being the 9th planet, and nobody's going to tell him any different. So way to go, Jim. Thank you, sir. Thank you for affirming the beliefs of me and a bunch of other people out there that still believe in Pluto being a planet. Pluto could not be reached for comment, so we don't know what it thinks about the whole situation, but I'm kind of happy with it because it's like, I don't know, validation in a way. In tech news, yeah, I know, we're still stuck on that, aren't we? In tech news, if you want a folding phone, don't worry, you can order one. Samsung is quietly taking pre-orders again for the Galaxy Fold. They dropped this a couple of months ago because they're having issues, and so they decided they just weren't going to release it, or they weren't going to release it before it was ready, or could figure out if it was going to be ready, or whatever the case is. Evidently, they have figured out the bugs in the system. They figured out not how to make the folding screen break or separate or whatever the deal was. And you can pre-order this again. It's supposed to be due out later this month for about $1,900. $1,900 for a phone. I guess that's great if you want a folding phone, or if you want to part with $2,000 to get one. I'd probably rather buy a car, pay rent for a couple months, something like that. I don't know, you know. Warner Brothers is going to start a new streaming service, or at least they're thinking about it. Warner Brothers is talking about HBO Max. It's going to be $14.99 a month. This will be pretty convenient if you are not a cable and HBO subscriber. You would be able to stream it like you would Netflix or anything else. It, of course, would have all the HBO content, but since HBO was owned by Time Warner, you would have a lot of Warner Brothers content, a lot of that library that is, still hanging around. Not only the stuff that on like I said, on HBO shows, movies, and all that stuff, but you would have a lot of the newer content, like a lot of the stuff out of the DC universe, Wonder Woman and things like that have come out, and quite a few television shows that were originally in the Warner Brothers library or still are in the Warner Brothers library, like Friends, Sesame Street, things like that, and stuff that's on the CW. As the CW wraps up their contract with Netflix, and they may be leaving Netflix, they may be the next one to go. If they leave Netflix, they might consider launching into or being a part of this HBO Max. If this does launch by Warner Brothers, it's going to go in April of 2020, but we'll have to stay tuned and see. They said there's also the possibility of having live sports. HBO used to have boxing quite a bit. They don't as much anymore, but they used to be big into boxing. And I could see them going back to doing live boxing exclusively on their streaming service. So that's not far out of the realm. I can see them doing something like that. In gaming news, Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. For those folks that are the PlayStation and PlayStation 2 people, the folks that grew up on that and always loved that, Final Fantasy and Gran Turismo were a couple of reasons why you wanted to own a PlayStation. So Final Fantasy VIII Remastered is out now. It just got released. You can buy it for $19.95, I think it is, through Steam, PlayStation. You can get it through Xbox. You can get it through Nintendo. It's the remastered copy is out now, not to be confused with Final Fantasy VII, the remake that is going to be out in March of next year. What's the difference between a remaster and a remake? Think the Star Wars movies. When they were redone or when they were re-released with a new set, when 1, 2, and 3 came out, and they re-released 4, 5, and 6, they did so with a lot of graphical enhancements and a lot of new special effects and a lot of new things that were in that. So you're going to get some better graphics. You're going to get probably some sound overs, some voiceovers and stuff like that, some new music, some enhanced effects and stuff that will bring it up to on par with today's games. Final Fantasy VII, on the other hand, the remake is sort of like if you go back and remake a classic movie with different actors and stuff like that. You're going to keep the storyline basically the same, but there's going to be a lot of differences. And that's what's going on with Final Fantasy VII. They're ground-upping this, and so it's going to be a remake, and you're going to have the same basic storyline, but you're going to have sort of a retelling of this story. So that's what's going on there. But Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII, both going to be available before too long. Final Fantasy VIII Remastered is available right now. So pick it up if you want to. And, don't if you don't. I always like Final Fantasy VII better than I did VIII, so that's the one I'm waiting for anyway. Speaking of things I'm waiting for, that was one reason to have a PlayStation. The reason why to have an Xbox was, especially if you're into first-person shooters, was you were either a Halo fan or a Gears of War fan. Me, personally, I was a Gears of War fan, and Gears of War 5 is coming out on the 10th of September. Gears of War 5, they were going to stop at 3, and then they put out 4, and it was pretty well received. And so now the 5th in the series is coming out September 10th. But if you have Xbox's Game Pass, that's their pay service where you can basically play for free, or you play X number of games or whatever, this, that, whatever, bonuses and all that good stuff. You can play it starting September 6th. So you actually get to play it early before, especially if you've pre-ordered it. You actually get access to it early, so that's one of their little perks they've got going for you. Not to be confused with Xbox Live Gold, which is where you can download the free games. Also, they did announce what games they've got for September, but Gears of War 5 will be available on the 6th for Game Pass owners or Game Pass subscribers, and on the 10th for the rest of us. I did, as a matter of fact, when we were talking a couple weeks ago, I did mention that Gears of War 4, when I was downloading it as a Games with Gold, it was going to my PC, and I thought that it downloaded my PC, but I would have to check. It did, in fact, and I'm pretty happy with that. I have not tried to see if the games are compatible between my Xbox One and my PC, but I'm going to find that out next, and that might be pretty interesting, especially in, say, co-op mode or multiplayer or something. I'll have to see if that works, so that would be really, really cool if it did. If you do have Xbox Games with Gold or Xbox Live Gold, Hitman, the whole first season, I think, is out now, and Tekken Tag Team. Tekken Tag Team was available partially last month and partially this month. It's one of their like 16th to the 15th things, and that was for the Xbox 360, which has gotten more difficult to try to get on the Xbox Ones. You either have to turn on the Xbox 360 and select it or something, or I don't know. Microsoft, make this easier for us. If you're going to offer us 3 or 4 games a month, make it where we can get it easier. That's all I got to say. Really, that's it. That's all. Simple. That's it. But anyway, there's something to look forward to if you're a PlayStation fan or a nostalgic PlayStation fan or a nostalgic Xbox fan. A bunch of good games on the horizon. So there's a lot to look forward to, but for now, that's all I've got. So as always, folks, you're welcome to subscribe, you share, thumbs up, thumbs down, any kind of comments. All the feedback has been incredible, and I appreciate it, guys, very, very much. Once again, happy birthday to Julian the other day, Jeff today, and Gus coming up. I love you guys. We'll figure out a way to get together and hang out soon. And really, that's all I got for right now. So until the next time, I'll see you later.